Cloudy but dry in most places with a few showers, mainly over Ulster and Connacht. Mostly dry then tonight with some good clear spells. Showers will affect Atlantic coastal counties later tonight. Lows of 5 to 8 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome along, everyone. Pat Nevin will check in on the show this evening. He's been covering the World Cup over in France. He's on the way 7:30. Dan McDonnell in studio talking all things Irish football. A few different bits and pieces going on. The word on Tyson Fury's win at the weekend as well to come. And Toronto, pretty happy just now. A very first NBA win for the Raptors and Drake. We have Ryan Farmer-Jones with us. It is all on the way. 53106 is the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack back with us. Hello.
Was that your sop to trying to sound current and with it mentioning Drake?
I hate Drake.
Name a Drake song.
Is that a Kiki? That was in my head for a long time. Which is a disturbing thought for everyone. No, I'm not going to sing it.
Go on.
Jeez, he has been indulged beyond indulged. It's like a case study in celebrity madness 2019.
He's a dose.
He's Drake experience.
He's like what Jackie Nicholson was to the Lakers in the 80s times a million. Just really awful.
Jack was kind of cool.
He led away with Jack. Well, he wasn't as cool as people make out. Like, he was still very animated and standing and giving out yards on the sideline. But Drake is just a dose. Yeah. It's like he's been given a pass to be allowed onto the bench and to be like a member of the coaching team.
But he keeps saying we. I mean, like, we did this. People said we couldn't do this. People said that we would, written off. We came through. We.
Well, supporters do that though.
Oh, come on, that's so fancy.
You talk about Manchester United.
Liverpool fans outside Anfield saying that on Sky Sports News.
Sorry, I've no time for them either. This we business.
Fans.
The we business. We were good tonight. We did this tonight. No, you didn't do anything.
Wow.
Sorry.
Shell's just shooting down.
So hang on, do you always refer to Ireland as Ireland then? Have you ever used the term
I've less of a problem doing it with Ireland. It's more when you're
Why?
It's more when you're of a certain age talking about Man United and Liverpool.
But why do you have a problem with someone doing about Ireland? Or not have a problem with someone doing about Ireland?
I feel your nationality is slightly different.
Well, not if you could be from a place in America or in Canada where it's very distinctive to your identity.
What if Dan's talking about Dundalk?
Dan, I don't have to fully explain my logic here. It's not fully logical, it's a feeling.
No, I knew it wasn't fully logical. That's why I followed up on it.
It's a feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
You're bluffing is what you're saying.
It's when...
Bluffing, yeah. That's a good word for it, I think.
It's bluffing.
Man United, Liverpool...
We agree.
Man United, Liverpool fans in Ireland give it the whole we business. I'm
listen, I know what you're saying.
Bored with that.
No, listen, it can definitely grate a bit. Yeah.
Grant, that's all I'm saying.
It's up there with an unnamed member of the Off the Ball staff tweeting about what Ed Woodward should do as Manchester United's transfer planner-in-chief this summer. I'm not naming names.
We're going down a different road. Then you have Irish people identifying themselves as Scouse or Manc, which they most certainly are not, even if they're fans of clubs from those places.
In other news, Dan, 25 years ago, we did this.
But easy, onto it comes Houghton. And Houghton with the shots, and it's Ray Houghton! Bring me back, and I'll do the job for you, Jack. And he's done just that after only 11 minutes. What splendid, sparkling opportunity.
Dear, oh dear, what a moment it was. 79 minutes left. I remember turning up wide-eyed. I was watching in the local sports. I think it was a tennis club or a GAN club. I'm not sure which. The match was on.
Tennis.
When my dad played tennis. I think it was tennis club. I was like, this is unbelievable. Whatever age I was.
That's probably you don't really remember 90, am I right?
No.
This is your first World Cup memory.
He turned to me and said, it's going to be a long way till the full-time whistle now.
It's cliche that's lived through all the years.
Mood punctured instantly.
Basically said we Ireland had scored too early.
Yes. We had we thought we had. Yeah. Alan Hansen. They went back to Alan Hansen in the BBC studio. Never back against the Irish, said Hansen. That's what I've learned today. Fantastic performance. Mm-hmm. He said, I've been in dressing rooms many times when the managers come in and said, give me 100% effort, attitude and commitment. That's all I ask. The Irish gave, what percentage do you think?
110.
130% tonight.
130.
Oh.
That extra 20 out of somewhere.
130% required. They were fantastic. 8 of those players tonight played as well as they could have possibly done, which did beg the question.
Which 3 didn't.
I know. We never found out. They hustled, they harried, they never gave Italy time or space.
Tommy Coyne definitely
coined it.
And then he lied a little bit by saying they never looked under any sort of threat at all, which wasn't
Did he just
quite
ignore Paul McGrath's entire performance?
Maybe he felt McGrath should have done better in the game. Didn't have much to do. 6.
What are your memories of 94?
94, I guess actually, strange. I definitely have clearer, happier members of 1990 because I think it was a prolonged thing, whereas 94, like, that was the moment of 94. Like, that was the
It was
high
literally
point.
all downhill
It was
from
that
that.
game from that point onwards. Like, when I think of 94, I remember at the time, like, Dennis Irwin, I was like massive Dennis Irwin fan. He got dropped for the round of 16 game against Holland. I was fuming. Dennis Irwin didn't play. It was Terry Phelan and Gary Kelly. And I was convinced that, you know, Charlton had lost it. You know, when Packy made the mistake and lost 2-0 to the Dutch, I was fuming over, like, how could Dennis Irwin be benched? Then I remember John Aldridge clearly in the whole round, the sideline, and the Norway game being crap. Like, I remember that game being, it was a Saturday evening, right? I think it was that game Saturday?
Yeah, because Bolivia, Germany was a Friday.
Yeah, I think it was a Saturday match. So I sort of remember it, but not with the same fondness of 90, because 90 was just like this prolonged adventure, even though I was like 4 years younger, and I just remember the scenes of like beating Romania that time and being out on the street after, or being out on the front lawn afterwards. I don't know about 94. Maybe it was later at night and just wasn't up.
There was that, but there was also a sense that during 90, I don't think there was any real down point. Like, people point towards the Egypt game and Dunphy flinging the Byro up Bill O'Hurley's head, etc., which didn't really happen. But after the Italy game, it was like the Mexico game was such a kick in the teeth. The Norway game was so awful it was almost unwatchable. Yeah. And then you had the Holland performance, which was like pretty much everything we'd had coming and precipitated the next 2 years to come.
The beginning of the end.
But like, one of the things I was thinking about when the USA 94 stuff started to roll in there and the nostalgia started to come in, we think about Bonner's performance against Holland and possibly against Mexico as well. Why wasn't Alan Kelly first?
Oh, I saw you on this.
Why wasn't?
But that wasn't the striking thing about that competition. You look at the age profile of the Irish team. Like, that team was old. And like, he actually...
I know they were Houghton bringing him back in because essentially he hadn't been involved in, I don't think, a lot of the warm-up games.
The feeling was, Houghton was interviewed last week, I saw him speaking about, the feeling was that McAteer was going to get the nod ahead of him, because we had, like, the three amigos, Bab, McAteer and Kelly, and they were like bringing fashion because they'd played their way in during the friendlies. I actually remember like the friendlies. Remember Ireland
got a debut against Russia.
Remember Ireland beat Holland and Germany away.
Beat them in Tilburg and Hanover.
Yeah, and the feeling was like Ireland could bloody win this thing. I actually do. One thing I do remember at 94, I think there was a teletext poll after the first game, because of course teletext polls being the big, this was the barometer of public mood at the time. And after Ireland beat Italy in the first game, we topped the poll. We were going to win the tournament.
I don't think we had any real sense of how bad Germany were going to turn out to be that year. One of my great memories from 94 of the TV coverage of it, and I watched a little bit of it again this morning, was in the RTE studio. They had decided to have an audience of invited guests.
Right.
So along with John and with Eamon Dunphy and Paddy Crerand, who was their third and their alternate with Joe Kinnear.
I was going to say Joe Kinnear, yeah.
They had like people like our own Tom Dunn was part of a panel that would be in the audience giving their opinion on the game. A couple of like GEA, and I think Tony Ward was in there as well. There were a couple of GEA people as well that were giving their opinion, and just general celebrities from the Irish world in what counted as an Irish celebrity in 1994 were there too.
I feel like we're killing your vibe because this was your first World Cup memory, Joe. So what was your happy, like your...
It's a good idea. Yeah. Tom Dunn and crew in there watching the game. It's a national event.
But the thing about it is, like, a couple of them are giving their opinions, and you just see the likes of John and Crerand just going, come on.
I know, I wouldn't have been for John. John wasn't too...
Crerand wasn't having it either, but so how he does with outside opinions.
I happened to watch back the final. I don't know why I was in a YouTube wormhole recently, and
that's a tough watch.
That final wasn't great.
More so the coverage, like the halftime coverage, and there were
punditry, presenting,
picking up tips.
Yeah. I think there were 5 in studio with Bill. There were at least 4, maybe 5 in studio with Bill because they had so much time. It's not like now where it's 3 minutes ad break.
John and Eamon, Stapleton, Crerand and Kinnear.
Definitely John, Eamon, Crerand and Kinnear, and maybe a 5th. And
Frank. Because Niall Quinn was doing a bit for RT for that tournament.
He did co-coms on the Italy game.
Yeah.
Kieran and Ranelagh, I'm a Leinster fan. I never say we. I do, though, refer to Ireland as we. Jimmy and Pat not happy. So, Joe, as a Kilkenny man, am I not allowed to say we when talking about the hurling team?
There you go.
Jimmy, if you spend 20, 30 or 40 years supporting a team, regardless of where you're from, I think you can use whatever language you want. Jimmy, you absolutely can. I have no issues whatsoever.
That's not what you said 5 minutes ago, Joe.
Say whatever you want to say, Jimmy. And Pat, say we all you want.
You'll just scoff at them from afar, is that it?
Simply allowed roll my eyes in certain instances. I would have to say, when it comes to your county team, I have far less of a problem with it, and certainly the international team as well, far less of a problem. It's probably more the
franchise,
the Premier League.
You've had a long-standing issue, and we've had this discussion off air with the Premier League and its general sense of being detached from the public and being conglomerate FC versus multinational AFC.
Yeah, I just like even at school, I remember like when Man United used to beat Man City. Like the lads go, yeah, it's great to win the derby. It's like, why? For bragging rights, why is it great for you?
Well, you see, you're hitting into a debate here, but like, you know, I
don't need to get fully into it. Listen,
no.
Pat, Jimmy.
If it's your place, it's where you're from, then of course it's going to be weird.
Totally, I understand that. That's totally different. Pat, Jimmy, I have no problem. Say whatever you want to say. I'll compile a list, actually, in good time of times where I feel we is appropriate.
What about the European Ryder Cup team? Would that be we?
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's top of the list.
When Harrington's captain, you'll be fully on the we. You'll be on the like Golf Weekly will descend into a like, well, what do we have to do next?
He's already got the blue
things
jumper
we
ready.
need to do. He's in the blue. Yeah.
That time we crushed the States.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
we
coming.
did them.
That's coming.
We showed them.
Yeah, look, Pat, Jimmy, no offence meant. It was kind of a hot take. How do we get in there? Drake. See, Drake has done nothing for the we merchants the way he's going on. When he's saying we, he's talking about it less as in people from Toronto. And genuinely, I think he's part of like the coaching ticket. When he says we, I feel like that's how he's kind of means it, as opposed to we, people of Canada.
I want to see
Toronto.
Drake give a GAA manager's interview. Asher, look, we knew we were going to have nothing easy against this Golden State share today.
A lot of people said a lot of things.
No easy
They
game.
were written off though. Golden State Toronto were written off in the press.
Asher, look, if you need that kind of thing to get you up
We
for a
didn't
big
read them
game,
though. Didn't read the press. But
All
we're
that
written
stuff.
off in it.
Am I totally barking up the wrong tree when we have the Premier League clubs and the we did this, we were really good
Well,
today?
it depends. I mean, like I remember, I think it was when Shamrock Rovers played Spurs, meeting a Spurs fan who was over, had been to every Spurs match home and away in Europe, like in the last 20, 30 years. I think they're entitled to use a we.
He's allowed to do it though. He is.
He's literally.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're getting into the debate of like, I sort of would subscribe to that, but it's not a very popular view to a lot of listeners. I think, if you're from the place and that's your club, that's your identity, then the use of we mightn't jar as much as someone referring to himself as a sort of Scouser and they're from Blanche. Do you know what I mean? But that's a complete different.
What's your problem with
That's
Blanche?
a different debate.
Yeah,
There's
your
no
problem
issue
with
with
Blanche?
Blanche.
You could have said Ireland.
They are Blanche.
Specifically, what's wrong with Blanche?
I just picked the place.
No, Blanche rather well done.
Great stuff.
Blanche. We are Blanche. Yeah.
No, that'd be my sentiment.
Do you know what I mean? I've never heard you articulate the sentiment before, because you've spoken about being like a Manchester United aficionado before, watching games when you were a kid with your dad and stuff.
Do you know what was an interesting... Sorry, we've got to get onto the newsround here. It was a slightly interesting experience for me. Being a big Man United fan growing up was the first time I went over to Old Trafford. And I was in college, I was quite old for the first game going over. My dad was a United supporter. We went over. It was the Villarreal game. George Best had passed away. It was around the time Roy Keane was being dumped out of there as well. They drew 0-0.
04-05 territory.
There was a booing of Alex Ferguson walking off the pitch. It must have been the only time it's happened. But it just did sort of lots of Manchester accents, their team. And it did sort of kind of hit me. My relationship with this team is very much a television experience.
It does bristle a lot of support with those kind of supporters over
I'd
there,
say
though.
so, totally. I'm not of the city. And why do I support this team in Manchester? I've never been to Manchester before. All those kind of... strange anomalies about the whole experience of supporting a Premier League club when you're in a different country. I just draw the line at we. But I've no problem. You say we all you want. I don't feel that strongly about it.
Just people who are crying, emotional at Liverpool winning and losing
100%.
around these parts. And to me, I can't get it. I just don't get it. I became very detached from supporting an English club for those very same reasons. When I just realised that I just have no feeling for it, no affinity for it. But that's... other people have a very different relationship with it through family or through experiences and through whatever, and it wouldn't be for me, but it would be for them, so it's a very personal thing, I guess, but
say we all you want. Drake got me started down this route. Jimmy says, this is Jimmy again.
Is this just because you had tiki stuck in your head for a few weeks?
No, it's because I've had to look at Drake all day in preparation for Ryan Farmer-Jones.
Perfectly manicured beard.
He says, have a look again at the Liverpool story. Fans, players, club reaction to season gone by, and tell me that's a club detached from its supporters. I think not really the point I'm making.
Yeah, maybe initially it came across you were saying the Premier League clubs are all detached from their fans. Is that your view?
No.
No. I guess there's a different debate to be had about the sort of top 5 or 6 clubs in the Premier League and where they're going at the moment. And if they increasingly, I still think there's a massive connection between Liverpool and their fans. But the more they push for the Super League debate and discussion, and they price fans out of games and they add more trips, but that's a completely tangential debate. I still think those clubs still have relationships with their fans that are reasonably strong. But it's funny, wasn't there a debate a couple of years back about Liverpool fans complaining about the atmosphere at Anfield because there were so many football tourists that were actually there,
Old Trafford,
and the locals didn't take too kindly to it.
We shall move on.
We shall.
Let's get into the news round. So the Champions League and Europa League qualifying draws made today.
Yeah, and the Irish sides in Europe have all been given potentially manageable draws. Dundalk will face the Latvian champions Riga in the first qualifying round of the Champions League. Shamrock Rovers were drawn with the Norwegians of Brann in the first qualifying round of the Europa League. St Pat's have been handed what appears the toughest draw on paper. They'll face the Swedes of IFK Norrköping. Cork City still don't know their exact opponents. They'll play the winners of the preliminary round meeting of Progress Niederkorn of Luxembourg and Cardiff Met Uni. Lee Siders manager John Cotter admitted to Red FM it's frustrating being unable to plan for their opponents.
Exactly, look, that's what you'll be looking for as well, because look, you could have league fixtures in around those games as well, which is obviously very important as well. So look, hopefully, like as you said, the travel doesn't look too bad at the moment, but obviously the travel arrangements are put back a bit until I think these crowds play on June 24th and 4th of July, I think. So you won't know for definite where you're going until then, which isn't ideal, but hopefully have a great time to look forward to.
As Richie is saying, generally seen as more manageable kind of draws. We'll talk to Dan after 8 o'clock about those games and where we are after the first half of the League of Ireland season, and Noel Mooney breaking his silence yesterday, so we'll touch on all that after 8 o'clock. Celtic as well involved?
Yeah, their Champions League campaign begins with a meeting with Bosnian champs FK Sarajevo, while Linfield will face Rosenborg. An anterior cruciate ligament injury has ended the season. Tipperary's Patrick Bonner-Maher, the two-time All-Star, sustained the injury during Sunday's Munster Hurling Championship win over Limerick. Maher will require surgery to rectify the problem, sidelining him for at least 9 months. Tip manager Liam Sheedy has said this evening it would be a miracle if Cathal Barrett played in the Munster Hurling final on Sunday week. The cornerback is due to have a scan on his hamstring problem tonight. Michel Platini has been detained in Paris over the awarding of the 2022 World Cup to Qatar. Prosecutors are investigating the former UEFA president over suspected corruption and bribery surrounding the process. Platini had told US officials at the time he would vote for them to host the 2022 tournament before a meeting hosted by then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and the now Emir of Qatar, Hamad Al Thani. The 63-year-old insisted the meeting did not change his mind but voted for Qatar nonetheless 2 weeks later. The awarding of Euro 2016 to France is also under investigation, and Platini denies any wrongdoing.
I mean, I'm not sure what happened in that meeting between Sarkozy and Qatar, Hamad Al Thani. I'm not sure they kept minutes as such, but it certainly seems to have had an influence on things, and Platini is maybe arguing he's entitled to change his mind. It all seemed to coincide then afterwards with more Qatar involvement in French life and French business.
His son secured new employment around that time as well.
Yeah,
Platini.
Yeah,
with a Qatari slant to it.
It's almost as if the World Cup shouldn't be going to Qatar in 2022.
It's almost as if the people who were voting for it that they weren't thinking that maybe there might have been a view that going to this place with no real football tradition, with stifling heat in the summer when the World Cup is played, it's almost as if they thought
Platini,
this maybe that they had other reasons beyond the obvious football logic of going there.
Platini seemed to be of that opinion initially, is the kind of interesting thing. So, I mean, I'm sure there's pressure exerted in these matters, and he certainly at the moment, he doesn't seem to have said anything untoward, I suspect he won't. And the end of his 4-year ban from football is almost up. Because the drip nature of this, you get accustomed to it all. But imagine going back to Euro 84 and saying, Platini's going to be held in a French prison, questioned for corruption,
banned for 8 years,
banned from football. Just how would he get himself into this mess?
It's extraordinary. But I mean, this is obviously a serious development. But for to me, like Platini, I mean, already he effectively couldn't attend. Although I think he might have gone to some of the games in Euro 2016, but he wasn't hosting. That was meant to be his crowning glory, almost having an event. Euro 2020, the pan-European thing, that was his idea. Effectively, that was his brainchild. Yeah. He's not able to participate in that. He's basically lost lost his standing in football now. I mean, this is obviously there's a serious element to this, but the punch he's taken already is something that's very hard to recover from.
The word is apparently he just kind of hangs around a bit, goes for walks, plays lots of golf. So I mean.
Well, I mean that would be a good life for you. But like I still, Joe, like if you could retire in shame anywhere, that might be your dream.
Show me the way.
But I mean, the insinuation here is that Platini would prefer to be doing other things.
Someone find me a swing I can fall off so I can retire and just play
This
golf.
wouldn't be his top thing to do. Like, he would prefer to be hosting. I think he'd still prefer to be at Euro 2020 next year, sitting on a throne.
Well, his handicap's tumbling down, Dan. That's very exciting.
He might even listen to Golf Weekly now, just to get some tips.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Michelle.
Michelle, yeah.
So we'll be talking to Pat Nevin about the World Cup 7:30.
Brazil need only a draw tonight to progress to the last 16 of the Women's World Cup. They face Group C leaders Italy. Australia need a win over Jamaica and a favour from the Italians if they're to make the knockout phase. And both games kick off at 8 o'clock.
At Malloy Joe, the Royal We, did you get out of the wrong side of the bed this morning? From a proud Daisha Scouser after we won our 6th Champions League, says June Fardy. Good on you, June. Well done.
Costa Semenya has accused the IAAF of using her as a human guinea pig. Her latest statement follows the release by the Court of Arbitration for Sport of their reasons for upholding IAAF's rules on limiting testosterone levels of athletes of different sexual development. Semenya has since had that ban suspended by the Swiss Supreme Court. But during their testimony, the IAAF argue that Semenya is, quote, a biological male, with Costa's written explanations saying that they were unimpressed with the IAAF's evidence. Semenya says, I will not allow the IAAF to use me and my body again. Manchester City are close to breaking their club record transfer fee paid to sign Rodri from Atletico Madrid. The 22-year-old has only spent a season at the Wanda Metropolitano after joining from Villarreal for €20 million plus last summer. But City are believed to have met Atletico's €70 million release clause for the midfielder, who's been compared to some to Sergio Busquets. Riyad Mahrez is currently City's most expensive signing, following his €67 million arrival from Leicester last year.
Isolde Cody has tweeted me, curiosity got the better of me, you weren't wrong, 5 like any dodgy boy band, so no Dunphy it seems for USA 94 final. It's Bill in the centre here, she sent me a screen grab, Joe Kinnear and Paddy Creran to the left, John Giles and what looks like Stapleton to the right.
Oh, Stapleton would have been high up the list at the time, yeah.
Where's Dunphy for the final?
Could have been out. Yeah, I was just thinking.
That's a scandal.
He done the 3rd, 4th place and he was out of here.
It's a scandal. So
I've got Sunday off, baby.
Gareth Bale then.
He was probably doing a Sunday Independent column at the time, I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking because being a Saturday final and he was the Sunday Indo man at the time.
It's a Sunday final.
TV lights, baby.
Oh, listen.
World Cup audience.
That was a Sunday final.
Was it a Sunday final? Yeah. Right, then he couldn't be doing a Sunday Independent then.
It was a very bad final.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it? Terrible final.
Viola had a very good extra time. That's all I remember about it.
I mean, bar the Baggio penalty, obviously. If Baggio hadn't done that, I wouldn't remember a single thing about it. The final. Like, that would kind of save the final in a way, Baggio doing that.
Yeah.
It's a grim take on things.
Save the final.
So Gareth Bale, apparently his agent is saying no to Manchester United.
It's at least highly unlikely, that's according to Jonathan Barnett. The Welsh international has 3 years left on his Real Madrid contract, but is being frozen out by head coach Zinedine Zidane. A move to United is off the cards, and so too a mooted loan to Bayern Munich, according to Barnett, who was interviewed at Royal Ascot this afternoon.
I think there's more chance of me winning at Ascot than him going out on loan. It's not going to happen. I don't think he wants to go on loan. You know, he's got a lovely life, home, everything in Spain, and I think it had to take something exceptional for him to leave, and loans aren't on the view.
Can Barnett stop getting interviewed in Ascot about Gareth?
No, I think it's great.
It's the only place he is.
As soon as he popped up on the telly, I was like, class, here's a quote.
Yeah.
I'm getting some audio for tonight.
That's going across codes. It's brilliant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let him talk.
Place to
Enough
be.
people not talking.
There were a lot of the great and the good there'll probably be transfer deals thrashed out at Ascot this
Ascot,
week.
no doubt.
And deals in other sport as well.
Contracts kept in those big stovepipe
All
hats.
manner of other sports business will be carried out at Ascot.
That is your newsround for this evening. I should remind you, Off the Ball is heading off for some winter sun and some top-class golf. We want you to join us. The Off the Ball crew, along with special guests Kevin Kilban, Kieran Donaghy, Peter Lowry and more, taking on 2 of the best courses on the planet, the Yas Links and the National, for the first ever Off the Ball Open this November. 5 nights in a 4-star hotel, a Peter Lowry golf clinic to sort out your game, gala dinner and a road show this November 17th to 23rd in Abu Dhabi. If that sounds like your kind of thing, then all information is available at offtheball.com/open. So you can go there. Meanwhile, lots of people say I'm sounding very grumpy on this whole wee business.
You are.
Did it
Yeah,
sound?
you're sort of cantankerous stage.
I didn't mean
Yeah,
that.
it's just like you started, don't kick your football into his garden. You won't get it back.
Oh no, that wasn't the feel I was going for.
Yeah.
The feel I was going for.
Joe's the kind of person who puts glass on the top of his wall.
You can say whatever you want. We, us, them, go for it. Just Drake, I have a problem with. Okay, everything else.
Okay.
Everything else, go for it. It's all on the
Saying
table.
the Toronto Raptors win wasn't God's plan, Joe.
I am. So
One for the kids there.
Short break. Was that a Drake?
Jesus.
Listen, sorry, Drake. You'd swear you're talking about Elvis here. Come on.
He's this generation's Elvis.
Well, I mean, think about that.
I will. Gladly. I've nothing else to do tonight.
After 8 o'clock, Dan will talk us through a few stories in Irish football. We'll check in on Tyson Fury's win over the weekend and get Ronan's thoughts on Tommy picking Molly May over Maura Higgins. And then we'll be over to Ryan Farmer-Jones to get his thoughts on the Raptors' first NBA final win.
Off the ball on News Talk. News Talk reports